Hey, this is Lacey with SmarCast, and I'm joined today with two sisters, Carla and Mary from Smiley Aesthetics, and I'm really excited to talk to the two of you about your business model, which I find extremely unique. Dave was telling me a little bit about you guys and what you've built, and so I'm really impressed with you all. So congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you.
It's so impressive. I also love that you guys are a family business. As a lot of our listeners know, we're very family derived as well. Mary Margaret's my cousin, my brother, my mom. We had another cousin that was doing hair with us before we transferred that into an injectable space. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit too about that family dynamic in the business too. So tell me a little bit about y'all's background, like what brought you into the aesthetic space?
I guess I'll start. So my background's in anesthesia, and about going on 5 years ago, when I got pregnant, the first time with my son, I just wanted to get out of the OR for a little bit. I started in a med spa injecting, traditionally just like as their, master injector. And then when I did that for a couple of years, and then when I got pregnant with my second son, kind of the same situation, but then kind of decided I want to do it herself. So, we found a medical director, asked her, we do everything together, asked her if she wanted to do mobile Botox. This was last year, which is kind of crazy to say, in February. And she started running around Nashville and me in Knoxville. And then after about 3 months, we brought our third partner on, who is one of my best friends and an attorney, which was the smartest thing we ever did. And and the model as it stands started in May last year. And then we kind of started bringing on the injectors and the independent med spas. And so, yeah.
So you guys were just traveling around like in a bus?
Just going really to people's houses.
Going to like different locations.
Yeah, just people's house. Like if someone at people's houses or
like concierge Botox.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Or they came into our
nice.
house or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we trusted them or knew them.
Yeah, I did most of mine at my dining room table.
Yeah.
Like in the neighborhood.
She barely left her neighborhood. She lives in a large neighborhood, and people just flocked to
They
it.
were very excited. I lived in Nashville, and about 15 minutes outside of downtown, and so the thought of not having to go to a med spa, people think that's super sexy to be right in the mix of everything. And it's like, actually, it's the rural people who really would love an alternative solution to not have to drive in. So I satisfied that for them very quickly. So I'm Carla. She didn't say that was Mary talking. My background is in critical care. I was an ICU nurse, and then I went pretty early in my career into nursing leadership with HCA, which they're not in Alabama, so you may not know them, but it's a large for-profit healthcare system, and big fan of them. I always give them a plug because I'm where I am today because of them. But went through nursing leadership, was the director of critical care, and then moved into the corporate world and became kind of like a joint commission surveyor, which usually tickles everybody, makes them roll their eyes at me. But that really complemented Mary and our attorney with the compliance and the regulatory stuff, which is really important in this space, as we know. And then my final role with HCA before I quit and did this full time was as the lead nurse in the company for our contracting, so for our GPO. So we would leverage our size to make deals with companies like AMP.
Also very valuable.
Yes, also turns out that was a valuable skill set. So I run like a lot of our business and operations and finances and do that side of the business. I did inject for a while, obviously, and now don't really do the clinical side. Mary runs that whole side. And does that with our kind of mobile injectors, and then we have the attorney. So we really kind of did the clinical business and legal thing and created a model that worked.
Yeah, it's really important to add that attorney into the mix.
Yes.
We've recently acquired a medical attorney, and just having him on board has made all the difference in the world, because he worked for a lot of like corporate mergers and things like that with the hospital company. So he knew all of the ins and outs of that. And so he's been super beneficial for us as we're growing and expanding our business model as well, and making sure that we're not making mistakes and that we do it right from the very beginning.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
and we
important.
just don't know how to medical providers, we always say this, I say this all the time, we just don't know anything about that side of things. Like, no one wants to read the fine print. They make it small so you don't read it. And that's where having that attorney who knows how to just like I mean, I get the question, what is indemnification? Like all the time, because it's in every single contract you're ever going to read, and it's like, what does that mean? So we couldn't agree more. The value that she brings to the company, and arguably as a med spa law expert at this point, it's all she does.
She's full time with us in our CLO now, so that's all she, which is amazing to have. We have a couple more that help her out on our legal team, but her being there full time is just, it's invaluable. And to cross state lines, to your point about what you were saying earlier, I mean, having somebody that knows what they're talking about and how to read statutes and stuff. They literally go to school for that many years for it. So, and I find it interesting that we think we can Google something and read it, and it's like there's classes on how to read like that one sentence, and if you think you know, you don't.
Right.
You don't.
Well, and there's so much gray too.
Yeah.
Like, so many contraindicating like laws that one will say one and the other one will say something that completely contradicts it, and you're like, well,
how do we
navigate this?
She laughs about that. Literally every word, every preposition, every single word in every law is impactful.
It's put there for some reason.
Like it can change the meaning of what's being said. So.
It just doesn't mean what it says.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to go find the real.
Yeah.
So when did you guys decide to expand out and start branching out to different places and people?
So that was only like a couple months after
February.
May, yeah.
It
was in May when we I remember the night sitting on Courtney's couch when we came up with like the model or whatever, because I was still in Knoxville at the time. I moved back home to where we're from in Nashville now, but and we called Carla on the phone and we were like, this is, I think we have some, we can do something that could be really big and something no one's done.
Well, to answer the question, we saturated. Like I saturated. I had no more ability to do anything. And when we talked about needing to hire somebody or how we were going to do that, and I love managing people and I love leadership, and my doctorate is in leadership. I love it, but I also wasn't at a point, because I was full time with HCA. How was I going to manage? Like I don't have time for this, to manage another employee. So that really led into how we designed the model as it stands today, that we didn't have to have an independent contractor or manage an employee.
And I didn't want to manage. We just didn't want to bring on employees, and we didn't really want to do the contractor thing either. So it's like, well, what do you do? And so that was kind of, because I had also just had a baby, my second baby and stuff too. So it was just, and so in May, like she said, that's when the model as it stands today started, and it's just expanded extremely quickly.
Okay. And so have you guys just provided medical directors for these injectors?
It's a lot more than just, it's medical director, obviously the legal guidance, the legal part of it, marketing, EMR,
policies and procedures.
Yeah, consent, all that.
We essentially provide
stuff.
a turnkey solution for safe, compliant ownership and full operation of your own independently owned business and aesthetics.
They can use, they can use their own logo. They can be full on Smiley aesthetics, or if they choose to do that, or they can use their own logo and be powered by Smiley aesthetics. They can take all our marketing and copy it, steal it, say, obviously not claim it's set of lips as your own before and after, but they can take any of that. We have a marketing director now.
We really we looked at, this is terrible, we looked at a common medical provider or a nurse and thought of all the ways that we just don't know what we're doing,
right?
Like marketing,
give them that,
and how to set up a gosh darn LLC, and should I have an LLC, and what is an LLC versus a sole proprietorship, like what does that even mean? Just some of the business stuff, and provided all those things, and it really fulfills our mission, which is to help them own and operate their own business instead of going. Love med spas, we have employees in our med spas, so we're all about that because people like that consistency, they want that schedule, whatever, but we all know that the injector is doing the work, and a lot of times a lot of that profit is not realized by the injector, and so it just completely chaps me to see a lot of that lost. So we wanted to provide a way for them to be able to realize all that.
To choose.
And to not be beholden to a physician.
Yeah.
We're also super strong with the whole medical directorship and see every value of the physician, but in most states they don't even have to be associated with cosmetics. It's just, cool, you're whatever you are.
You're kind of signing stuff. So love our medical directors.
Love a medical director.
Have them in every state. But but that's a good point about what she said. I think my part in the model and just kind of the mission and what we wanted to do was when I was in the med spa and can inject $5,000 in someone's face in an hour, and commission's not really legal in any state. So I'm making just whatever.
$50 an hour.
Yeah,
Cool.
what a high end 60, even what I would make in anesthesia. Let's say not $100 an hour, and it's still not reflective of like what I'm doing. And of course, there's more overhead in a med spa than just what I'm putting in the patient's face. But still, it was just.
But isn't that the point though? There doesn't have to be that overhead. So I think the other key is. What we realize doing the mobile stuff is you can be very safe, very compliant with the basics. There's not a lot of things that can't be done mobily, but with the basics, you don't need a fancy schmancy med spa.
We love amp.
We love med spas.
And we love
amp.
machines. But you don't have to start out with the machines. Yeah, you don't have to start out with all the bells and whistles.
So do you guys have machines as well?
Yeah, we have all of them.
Yes.
So
Now
now
the amp ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
we do have all of them.
So part of our model was we put med spas where we have like a density of our kind of mobile injectors. And then we do have the machines in the spas, and that allows what that does for them is it allows them to have basically a full array of services, but they
Without
don't have to
paying
have
for
the
it,
financial burden of these machines.
Okay.
So then they can refer them back into the spas, and they get
we give them the referral
big
fee.
referral fees. We're basically splitting it with them because.
And then
Yeah.
their clients stay loyal to injectors.
Yeah, and we
you know
will
how
not
that
inject
is.
their
So, yeah, we
clients.
don't.
Yeah.
They can
Unless
only
there's an
come in-
extenuating
yeah.
circumstance.
They can only come in for the services
Yeah.
that they can't offer. So then it becomes kind of one big team while also supporting them, because who can afford a $150,000 machine when you're starting out?
So you guys have some brick and mortar stores that have all of these devices, and then you have travel injectors that are then referring into the medical spa to have these services done.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so who do you have inside the spas that are operating these services? Are you having estheticians that you're delegating that to? Like, who's doing those services?
Yeah, so we have gone pretty hard on RN and above because of the compliance issues with different things. Take Scarlett by example, microneedling. You can argue all day long in Tennessee law about who is able to go and interact with live tissue. And we stand on the just pure fact and believe that it is a medical provider or above.
Well, it's a cosmetic versus medical procedure.
Yeah,
So
it's
what
a
you're talking
medical
about.
procedure. Like you can't, and someone will listen to this and want to argue to the death, and I'll be at that table saying, change my mind. And I'm happy to go toe to toe. So we just have always gone RN and above. Now in all of our med spas, we have advanced practice providers actually running the physical med spas because of good faith exams. And, so we have PA.
We don't stand too hard on that, but it is helpful.
But it just has kind of worked out that way.
And I do think that estheticians are in our
Yes.
wheelhouse down the road. It's
100%.
more of just the way our model was born, obviously, on anyone injecting and stuff is obviously an RN or above. And so since it started that way, that we bring on all of our providers so far started as they're in their own business. And then we just kind of, cherry pick not necessarily cherry pick, just based on who wants a more
Some people just
set
like stability.
schedule.
They want
stability,
a set salary. They
yeah.
they
don't want to run their own business.
Yeah,
so.
they don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why it's okay. Like there's plenty of us that do though. Like medical providers make these great entrepreneurs. We're just so used to. I say it all the time, walking into a hospital, having our clients handed to us, going into the supply room, picking up the Foley. Oh, I dropped it. Getting another one. Who cares? Like we're so used to that. It can be hard to switch over, but that type A personality that we all have is really, conducive to entrepreneurship. It's just helping them switch over into that, like bridging that gap for them to help them be successful. So, but then there is I have stable, I have a salary. Like there's, I'm want to be the Tractor Supply of aesthetics. Like we're building a culture of, I just don't, no one's going to leave. Just make it so good you don't leave.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like definitely mid-levels have had a much easier transition into the aesthetic world than doctors have. I think it's just the way that they communicate with the patients.
Yeah,
I
agree.
You guys have had a lot easier time moving into this field for sure.
For sure.
So if someone wanted to be a part of the Smiley Aesthetics group, like, do they just reach out to you? Like, what does that look like? Do they just have like a menu of things that they can decide what they want to do? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so just reaching out is definitely, and then are we in that state yet? So, we're in 10 states now, and moving into more. We vet the state heavily legally before we ever even
Like Alabama.
put our toe in it.
Yeah, you're like not getting there.
Yeah,
we make
like,
sure
we're not in Alabama.
Yeah, and that the legal team just makes sure we know. We just have the answers to nearly every question. It's not that we've come up twice where we've missed something. Missed something that's relatively minor, but still, so thorough to not miss things and see what we need, and then. At this point, we don't really do, we don't try to find anyone because we have a very large waiting list, if you will, of just for us to go into the States. And then it's just otherwise spread organically. And then we did create an accredited training program. So we train all providers that join Smiley or don't, but we do require that if they're coming on with Smiley, you go through our training program, depending for a quality control thing, depending on if someone's come to us as an injector for 5 years and, can show me they've done some training or whatever, then of course you don't have to go to our basic training. But yeah, it's really been pretty organic and just kind of word of mouth for now. When we go to new cities, sometimes it's kind of hard to get the word out, but not really, because we do have, like I said, there's like 800 people on our.
We
little
basically
waiting
welcome
list
everybody,
group.
though RN and above.
PAs, and it's not just nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, physicians.
We love to catch people upstream, so we get a lot that show up at the class. And that it's fine. I'll teach a business portion for a couple hours at the start of class, and typically scare the hell out of everybody.
People are just like,
because I'm like, who's just decided last week they want to do aesthetics, and typically half the room's like. And I'm like, okie dokie.
And then at the end, they're like,
Buckle
so
up,
can I take Botox home today? Or
Yeah,
then do I
I'm
get to
like-
just start injecting? There's just this lack of knowing,
They're like, just get me out of the hospital. I don't care what we do.
Exactly.
Let's just not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So where do I get it from? Where's the
for
Botox?
those people, I'm like, buckle up, because that is unfortunately a misconception in nursing in particular, because we can shift into so many things. Like, I can be an ICU nurse and then be a case manager and then be a hospice nurse. And then, so we just assume this skill set is one that we can just shift
that's a
into,
good
when in
point.
reality, it's not. I mean, it's just not one you can, unless you go and get a job at a med spa and they're willing to train you and do all those things, sure. But otherwise, if you want to inject and want to, be independent, it's much more than just getting trained. But they show up and we tell them all the things. I tell everybody in the class all the things they need. And then, it is easy to be like, then you can either go do this yourself or, we have a solution.
We've built
but
it out for you.
Yes, but whatever, we train anybody. But then, our doors are open to everyone. We do use the training as kind of like an interview process, just to make sure that, crazies don't slip through. That does happen.
You just never know.
Well, there's people that come that it's the wrong, they just see dollar signs. There's we're about protecting this industry and making sure that the people that come into are actually passionate about aesthetics, not going to run around screwing up people's faces, which is just not going to do anything for us. So it's not a free for all. Come one, come all. Plus, you ain't putting my name on your shirt and doing something crazy.
So how are you vetting these injectors that are joining your group?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was mentioning, in the training.
Yeah.
So because that's part of people. A lot of times, I think from a business perspective, it's brilliant. Make them come through the training. That's not as lucrative as it sounds. It's more of a quality check and an interview process.
And then the normal vetting, of course, of we have an
the
onboarding
licensure
process of what they have to provide us, the normal stuff.
Yeah, making sure they're.
And it's kind of nice that get your license, the background check, and so you have a little bit of a
if you have an active license.
we don't, and they are owning and operating their own business. So there's this level of yes, they represent Smiley and our brand, but also, there is, if you meet these requirements that are not too lofty. I mean, being a medical provider is already a lofty requirement. And then you come to training, like she said, and you present yourself, as a normal whatever that medical provider, then
and then you do have to complete our onboarding process.
Yeah.
So, which it's not hard. It's just you have to do the orientation videos and practice on a couple test clients and charting, a little skin in the game, and that actually weeds out more than you'd imagine. Just don't finish, and it's cool.
Yeah,
you weren't
fine.
ready. You didn't have that spirit anyways.
Right.
You weren't ready to dive in.
Weren't invested in this.
Yeah.
So
And we're all
that's
about
totally
bootstrapping. So keep your other job, do this on the side, and watch them. Watch this go like this, and then at some point it's a business. So we try to really catch them upstream and educate them on what you're getting into, or. I know the industry hates the whole side hustle thing. If that's what you want to do, what I tell them is my goal is for you to not work that fourth shift in a hospital because you need a little extra money. If that's as far as you get, you've won. We've all won.
That's great.
More aesthetics is coming to more people in a safe and compliant way. So we all win in that regard.
And if they're just starting out learning how to do injectables, is there a requirement of how many patients they need to see before you allow them to start seeing patients?
So the training, we do have pretty strict requirements on what they're allowed to do as they start moving through the, injecting process, to your point. FDA approved areas we're pretty allergen loyal at this point, but FDA approved areas for Botox, and then basically lip filler is kind of where they're able to start. And our training is so heavy hands-on. Of course, and then just very focused on safety. You're not going to learn a perfect set of lips in any training, but as long as they walk out of there with that, the safety part of it, then they can only do that. They can get trained on microneedling and, some
Chemical
other things, chemical
peels,
peels, and offer skin medica and vitamin B12 shots. And we have a robust semaglutide program for advanced providers and stuff. So, but in terms of injecting and safety, they're starting out real small.
Yeah.
And then a time limit on when they come back is based on how many clients to like another advanced training. They can't start offering even cheeks, anything else until they come to another training. And so that's how we keep, and it's worked really, it's a matter of when somebody, will have a vascular occlusion or something at some point, but it's worked really well safety wise, and clients are
we've never had
happy
we've never even had a dropped brow, nothing.
Or a droopy eyelid yet.
We used to say we need to get numbers together to see if that was like what that was about, but now after training hundreds and hundreds of them and having over 100 with us and not having an error, where it's a pretty safe and compliant a way to go about it. And the other thing, the big thing I think that stands out with us is we are all about community and collaboration over competition. Like we stand so hard on that. The whole and Mary's so much more in the clinical space in the injecting world with the other injectors, and I'm just kind of in a lot of ways in the background. And I just am so like, what is up with this? Just
I've warned her from day one. This
beep
a-hole industry. Yeah.
Industry. Like,
we are really working.
Nurses
to change
are
that.
like bound together like by blood, and then we get into aesthetics, and it's like, well,
I won't tell you anything.
I'm like,
you wanna,
what is happening?
I'm like, you're even across state lines, you find people who reach out and they won't tell them how to. Well, how did you get connected with your Allergan rep? I don't know.
I'm like, girl, you're in Washington State.
Why are we competing so hard?
Like, what is your problem? I don't even understand.
Yeah.
It's just so against what nursing and medical provider, all of it is all about. So that then you throw money in the mix, which is what the problem is, and it's just like it just unfolds.
People are just kind of mean.
That unacceptable. Our community is 100% a community of collaboration, and that is our culture. And so you have access 24/7 to. And every single injector on our team, both employees, our employees all work for our mobile injectors. We wouldn't work for them, but they're all there for any of the stuff they might need, like, oh, my AR is not working, or oh, I don't know, whatever all the things that they ask.
Post pictures of clients and ask
just
questions
things
and
that
get
they need help
immediate
with.
responses.
But then also the clinical side. So if they're in front of a patient and they take pictures and put them in our group that has about 120 people in it now, and then people will just respond. Oh, those dots look perfect. Oh, those lips, look at those are great. It's just a community, and we absolutely there is no competition. We tell them how to do like Botox parties and bring another injector in town and. Throw them a couple of clients or pay them $200 and have them do your charting, and y'all just collaborate. So they do all kinds of stuff together. It's fantastic.
It's worked out really well.
It has never been an issue. Like we've never had, just because we put our foot down on it, I think that's half the reason people come. Is they're like, oh wow,
it sounds like they're looking at it more as a resource.
Yes, which is exactly how I hope.
Yeah. So I think that's great. You've created this sense of community between these injectors that they can rely on each other and help each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
You're so right about people not wanting to share that information.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's getting a little bit better
I do
as
too.
as it's
shifting,
growing. Like I said, my mom started our company over 25 years ago, and there was no one to help her. She had to figure out everything out on her own, and no one would tell her anything. And she was really one of the only providers in aesthetics doing these types of services too. And so it's definitely been our mission to be able to help people that don't know. If there's something that we can help them with, we're more than willing to do that.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. I love that you guys are sharing with us all of y'all's tips and tricks and everything that you guys are doing. As far as your training, do you guys have like a training headquarters, or are they going out in the field to your different locations? Like, what are you doing in regards to your training for like specifically your devices?
For these are just in our med spa. So the devices specifically, Karen, I'll go throw out to Karen Cooksey, came and has come to all the med spas that these are in and trained and done the day-long trainings for each device. And then we do have a training facility in Nashville now for like the injectable side and stuff. And so we were in hotels, using hotel spaces.
Well, when we
or
go to
whatever.
other cities, we use a hotel space.
And if we travel to another city and host a training, then it'll be in a hotel space. But we do have a home base now, training facility in Nashville.
So how many brick and mortar spas do you have with these devices in it?
3.
Well, now 4.
Oh, 4.
Yeah, we just acquired another spa.
Oh, 5.
5.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's terrible.
5.
Yeah. He ain't good. It's gross.
There's 3 in
a lot of
Tennessee,
gross.
1
Yeah.
in Kentucky, and 1 in Missouri.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So now 5.
She'll kill us if we forget Missouri.
So
She's amazing.
how many providers do you have at each of those 5 locations?
So that I'll take that because this is one of those areas that I feel really strongly about. 1.
Well, that's not true.
No, and
2, 3.
well, okay, let's back up. How many providers do you need to have running those locations?
That's not what she
even
asked.
with these machines.
That is not what she asked.
1. It's going into that conversation of starting a med spa that, AmSpa says the average is like $150,000 to start a med spa. And I'm like,
In 2022,
what is happening?
that was their number that they put out in their huge executive report.
Yeah, so
is crazy.
we love AMP and all these machines, but I never tell any of our mobile injectors to, and we have a couple that have them and have them mobile and take them around and things, but they would never start that way. So they all start as independent operators, and I do believe an independent person can run a med spa all by themselves starting out.
So AmSpa said the average startup price for a med spa is $150,000.
156,000 or 154, 174
in 2022.
That's like one device.
Yeah, I know. Well, and it's just like
I was like, wait.
And I wonder, then it's like,
Like
what
that took me a second to register that. I was like, wait a minute.
What are you, yeah, and what are they including in that
Yeah.
report? So it didn't break it down enough, but it's like, are you including are they breaking this out into the payments for a year, for like a year, or like, are they, because you can't, like you said, even one of these is like,
Or are they only considering it injectables?
yeah, or just maybe the rent and
Yeah.
maybe there's a limit on the
it
product.
was like 250 the year before in 2021.
Well, they're saying it's too low. It's like that's a low. I think they're saying that's a low number. If you're gonna open a med spa and do injectables
with the device.
yeah, and have
Yeah.
2 devices, you've out.
Oh yeah, and I'm over here
way
arguing,
past.
AMP, don't kill me. Like, why you'd open a med spa and have a device right away is an interesting business move for me.
I kind of just, and clinically, I'm like 1, maybe 2, but I think what she gets salty about is like, you see a med spa or whatever that opens and they do have everything. And you're just, you're $2 million in, $3 million in on stuff and you don't even have your first client yet.
Right.
That type of is where
Yeah.
she gets a little up in arms about it.
But there's 1 provider, there's 2 in Knoxville, there's really 1 in Mount Juliet, 1 in Missouri.
Okay, there's 2 in Mount Juliet, there's 2 in Knoxville, there's technically 3 if you count me in the Nashville one. Missouri does have 1. She's opening a new space and bringing in a second nurse, and then Kentucky has 1 for now. But
We're identical twins. We love each other. But where was that question going? And the reason I ask is because, like, you asked how many people were in the spa running it. Like, what was
Well, I was just wondering how many people do you have to operate those devices, and are they splitting their time between injectables and that, or like what does that day to day look like for that provider?
Yeah, so we can extract the last 5 minutes. So in each spa, somebody is splitting their time between injectables and that. We have our calendars right now wide open in terms of somebody can book something anywhere that they can find a spot in the med spa. Now, our model, I don't think, is one that should be compared to anybody else's in an apples-to-apples scenario, because our med spas, although we have these, have never been our true focal point because we focus so much on that independent injector. So the booking rates and stuff like that, I could see that becoming a challenge down the road to say, I'm going to do a Scarlet Agnes. So that's 2 hours of time. I mean, your calendar is going to be full of these machines pretty quickly.
And our stance on that is an 80%. So when we, for example, in Nashville, when it's 80%, she's at 80% booking on if she's doing all the things, or in any med spa that we open. Then before you get to 100, and it's such a good plug for it. Before you get to the 100%, I'm booked out for 3 months, and it's like that's really cute and really exciting for you, but you're missing out on it. You're leaving a lot of money on the table if you're booked 3 months out. So when you get 80% full in your next week or two, probably need to consider
another provider.
That next provider.
Or raise your prices. That can always lower
but,
your
lower your
or
occupancy.
just
bring them. It depends on what your
however
thing
you want to
is.
do it.
But yeah, so that's kind of how we've worked that with those.
Yeah. So your average brick and mortar store, how many square feet is that on average?
That's a
for
good
you
question.
guys?
I have a strong opinion on this too, that it doesn't have to be this, depending on how you start. So we've done it all. We've started in obviously the mobile, and then renting a room in another like a salon or something, which we do a podcast and had a whole, how should I start? And I'm fully in the middle of renting a room in a like business, in a hair salon that already has clients. Like it's just an easy way to grow your client base so quickly. And when you leave that room, they will follow because the salon just doesn't offer that anymore. And then the brick and mortar side, we have Knoxville's 800 or 900 square feet. Maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And then another one's 1,200. Then we're opening the one in Missouri that we're moving into a bigger space because we're ready. It's going to be 1,800. We have one that's in a room in a salon. So just all kinds of
Yeah.
clientele.
Well, it sounds like that's plenty of space to grow into
Yes,
for additional
exactly.
providers.
Yeah. It just can be very small and still be really upscale.
And she does a lot of education on contracts and stuff. So don't sign a 7-year, get a commercial space for a 7-year lease. Just talking through how to, because that's all the stuff. Once again, medical providers were just kind of like
We're really bad at.
we didn't really learn this. So talking through what to ask for based on what you feel like your plans are.
We just aren't good negotiators because what do we need to negotiate with a doctor to like do something? I mean, like it's not even in our wheelhouse. So I just definitely feel strongly about that too.
So when you guys are deciding locations of where you want to go, that's based primarily on where the physicians are or the mid-levels are that you're looking to acquire.
Yeah, when we go to looking at a brick and mortar, it's twofold. It is market. Now we do a pretty decent market analysis that includes what's there, but also because we really feel like there's a bajillion faces in the world. But then we do look at our mobile injectors and see where they are. And then finally, the state law is probably the pretty much number one thing is how easy it is to operate that brick and mortar. Because if you're a mobile or you're an independent injector, that is very different than the brick and mortar. I mean, there's everything from how much does it cost to register with the state to how often does a medical director actually have to be in the building. There's a million questions that vary from state to state. So
how many collaborating agreements can they have in the state?
Yeah, exactly.
Within a mile radius and all those
do they
things.
have to be within a certain radius of the
What type of certifications do they have to have?
Yeah, board certified, like in Tennessee, they have to be board certified. Which is also funny. Medical law we're just band-aiding over onto aesthetics and cosmetics, taking these antiquated, ridiculous things that don't apply at all.
Yeah,
and
it's all written for hospitals. And now they're trying
we
to
just have it.
push it over into the aesthetics market, and we're like, that's two totally different
you
things.
You need to create a full-blown board of aesthetics or whatever that's medical-based, but has its own set of laws.
Yeah,
because they're hilarious.
And then at your base, pointing out what she said, or the base question, she said, market analysis. We just we were worried initially of having more than like one mobile med spa in or any whichever type of med spa, an independently operated med spa in the same area, and we started out that way and then completely moved away from it because we were
4 days later we're like never mind.
Maybe in some rural tiny towns more than two would get is a little much, and we've not really run into that. And in fact, having two is more beneficial than just the one because they can once again kind of work together and help each other out, but. When in bigger cities or decent size, I mean, you can have 4 who live, on the same street, and they just don't, like, their social circles and the people they know and stuff, they just don't really, like, touch, not to mention the statistics surrounding, 7.5 million people got Botox, and there's 350 million people in this country. It's such a new industry still, even though it's been around 20 years in medicine, that's nothing. So we just... And what he said yesterday, the physician on stage here, 4% had gotten dermal fill. I mean, it's just crazy, a wide open market. And then I only talk about men. And so it's just kind of like this whole competition thing is like, y'all.
So we we smash that. And like for anyone who wants to challenge that, I tell them to go on Facebook or wherever their platform and see who they have in the mutual friends. And then when you see that it's like, oh, the med spa down the street with their lead injector, I have 3 mutual friends. That should crush any concerns you have about your circles or not having enough people around you. I mean, how are you going to be worried about? And that's not the end all be all, but like it's just like I'll do it in the class, all of them, because people will be worried. Well, there's 4 of us in here training to be in Nashville. I'm like, yeah, y'all aren't even friends on Facebook. But y'all don't even know each other.
Throw a rock in Nashville and find an injector.
Well, yeah. But we still underserved. It's still an underserved community. So it's.
So are you guys providing marketing for these people too, or are they bringing in their own clientele and then you guys are just providing like the business side of stuff? So like what's your plan for marketing for your injectors?
Yeah, so the one thing I always tell them is the one thing I can't give you is clientele. I mean, if you're in nowhere Indiana. I don't know anybody in Indiana. However, what we do to help them with that is they are allowed, like she said, to copy and paste our marketing. So we follow a very specific duck, duck, goose strategy in marketing that's value, sell. So you're not just always throwing up a sales post or a stock photo, and try to give them a lot of those guidelines for that.
We have like a OneDrive that they have access to that they can to use the marketing material that our marketing team makes and stuff. So if they do have their own logo or they want different colors, it's a editable one too. Talk to them about Canva. And then it's a lot of education, right? Like using Canva and how to do it. And our marketing director, we started a Patreon recently where she can put on videos and stuff, how-tos, and just feeding as many people, really, not even just our own.
Teaching them how to run a business.
Yeah,
really
just teaching as many people they can, because elevating all of these injectors is not a, once again, competition thing. It's only going to elevate the industry because you're going to reach more people. It's such an underserved thing already. So if we can just elevate people in the compliance and the safety and all this stuff, then it's
more
only going to elevate.
People are going to get a sense.
It's only going to elevate,
which is going to make
industry.
room for more injectors.
So are you guys using a website with the different locations on there and where they can book online with those providers? Or
Yep.
Okay.
Every one of them goes on to the smileyaesthetics.com, and then they have their own links. Some of them use the aesthetic record, use a certain booking link. Others use something different, but they're whatever contact they want on there.
And they're on there by state, and
you can
search for them
through
so
your location.
If you're in Indiana wanting to find one of our injectors, you can go see who's in there or from
and
Indiana.
What county, I think, or city. I'm not sure how it's
I think we
filtered
do
out now,
by
but to help find them.
And then we put their links, like their Instagram, whatever, their little links are, whatever.
And people will just message on the website, maybe not find that and say, ask.
I need
And then we'll
injections
just
in
send
Memphis.
them.
I'm like, okay, well, here's.
We just disperse it amongst the injectors.
Who wants a client in Memphis?
First one to answer, yeah.
So I guess my question really is are they paying to have all of those resources as a lump sum, or are they paying you with a percentage of their profits?
So like consulting.
So it's the way we do it is in my opinion the best way possible. They don't pay any fees, nothing month to month. There's no contract. The better they do.
It's like a pay-as-you-go structure.
It's like a pay-as-you-go, basically,
and nothing to do with profiting because
No.
It gets too much into fee splitting and all that stuff.
So if they don't make a dime or don't do anything, then we don't make any money or do anything. And if they do, then or as they grow or whatever, we grow with them. The better they do, then of course the better we do.
Yeah.
But also then the better they do in that regard too. So we've tried to set it up truly where they have the best possible chance of being successful in a business structure.
And we don't take more as they grow. It's a structured, a very structured plan that they know from the start, and it does never change. Our goal is to lower now. Now that we're tiered and stuff with Allergan, we drip them down as much as so much.
So they're getting the benefits.
Oh yeah,
yes, yeah. They get we don't take
that's
any
a huge,
of those benefits.
and I do want to speak to that because that's a huge. It's come up
Added
recently.
value,
Because they get the benefits of that, and I find it very frustrating when you hear about like group purchasing or buying clubs, whatever you want to call them, and new injectors, new med spa owners have no idea about it, and then they've locked themselves into this buying club where they don't reap any benefits. I mean, it's just that's very sad to me and very unfortunate. So they definitely get their alley and their rewards, obviously that part of it, and then we're also getting stuff down to them that. Otherwise, they may not be able to buy 10 boxes, get 2 free, so we'll do buy 2, get 1 free. We just try to do that stuff for them. And so that is a big value add that we don't speak to very often either.
Yeah, and the fact that we'll back up. If they, some of our most successful ones, we have many that have quit their jobs, we're very proud of that. And then if they go and decide they want to open up their own brick and mortar, we have a full structured pathway to that, to where we're basically we'll absolutely get the doors open, which is a whole other thing, we'll help you. But when you're ready, we will back all the way up to almost nothing, and you do your thing. And then they have their own account. They can do, all those types of things. So they can start straight up building that and reaping those benefits. So we just don't believe
or stay with us and continue reaping
or whatever the
ways,
case is.
Whatever.
It's just.
And then, so do you guys also offer concierge training services for other businesses? Like if they want to send their injectors in to have training courses and just they sign a non-compete, that they're not going to be like, oh my God, I love them so much, I'm going to go work for them now.
Yeah.
Like just protect those businesses. Do you guys offer that for?
Yeah, we train.
too?
We train as many, or about it's probably 50-50. We train as many medical providers who don't join us or who are coming for other trainings and stuff as we do people who come on and join us. So the program is definitely accredited for anyone, for all medical providers. We still stick to the RN and above for the supervision rules to avoid. And I've traveled. We'll go to med spas and do private trainings. We do private, we do one-on-one, and we do the group trainings that have 10 or less people in them in the city. So yeah, it's definitely both. And like you said, the training, it's the same no matter what. The business hour is more just to help the provider, and it may not be in the private trainings wanted, but it's not necessarily, hey, come on with Smiley. It's more of like, you just need these things. Like you just need to know that you need these things.
Well, because like Allergan and all those companies are great with their trainings, but they can only do what they can do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a really good opportunity for other businesses to be able to have access to some really in-depth trainings.
Yes.
More consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally
And we
agree.
also support them, whether or not they come on with us.
Yeah,
Like, we're like, reach out. We help.
Community thing, once again. You have my email, now you have whatever cell phone, most likely, if you've come and trained, and I'm more
It might
than
be
happy to.
really fun too for you guys to have some sort of a community for those people too. Maybe
the ones that have been trained,
not in with the ones that are a part of your
That's a good
injector
idea.
team,
That is a great
but just
idea.
have like for them to have their own
a great
community
idea.
to build on
That's
and
a
make
great,
connections.
Now
You're
I'm
so
gonna,
right, because
now on Monday, I'm like, I gotta go figure out
Yeah,
everybody
no,
and train and create a group. That's a
Emails
great
it.
idea, though. It could be if we did a WhatsApp, even a texting, where you then have all those providers have access to each
Just
other.
create the community. That's a great
Or like
idea.
event ideas or whatever.
Yeah. Because
Love
we
that.
support them as much as we can, but there is a level. There's a level at some point of like, okay, I can't.
Well, it's just
I can't
I'm a mom. I
I
have
can't
this
check your
business,
dots
I'm
on your
just
first
like,
client's face if you're. There's only so much we can do. So
I love that.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's a great idea.
That's a really something that I love it. I'm like, where's my computer?
I have one last question and then I'll let you guys get back to it. But so the Derma PRP, did you guys go to the training yesterday? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love it. I have been so excited. I heard about Derma months ago, or it coming out so long ago. So I've been excited about it for months. I think it's a game changer in the filler and just filler. It's not a filler, but in the volumizing industry, because especially where we're based, Nashville. While it's a total mix of all sorts of people now, but the Southeast in general, and I think you guys would know this, a little more natural and a little more. That's how we are than out west and stuff. So having a product that can kind of provide the volumizing, but not be so aggressive as these HA fillers and stuff is just, I think it's a game changer. And it'll suit we still have the clients that want this, and the other. Like, I don't necessarily see myself putting it in lips. I love what I do with HAs and lips. But like temples and some of these other areas too that are a little more dangerous, I think that it's we're always doing safety and we're always worried about VOs, but I think it's a better option than HA filler. So I'm going to be a little nitpicky on where I put it, but for me, it's going to be like, I'm so excited.
I love the price.
I think too that even if you did want to put it in the lips, those patients that were just wanting a half a syringe, this might be a better alternative for them.
Oh, and then
than
the older lips. That was so true what they
That's a
said
good
on
point.
stage yesterday. Yeah, and the older lips were like, if I fill those are not going to look good. Like, and they still want something. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be amazing.
I think it's a financial. I'm excited about that financial.
Yeah, there's
part
a
of our
huge,
mission is bringing aesthetics to more people,
and especially those
reasonable-
rural people
Yeah.
who maybe don't, depending
can't
on
afford
whatever.
$18 a unit. It's like, okay, it's bringing. So this price point, I think, is going to be good to again bring more people into the aesthetics industry, which is only going to benefit all of us
with a high quality, like good product. There's
Right.
nothing, So I'm really pumped.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Our injectors are really excited about learning how to work with this new product. So we're excited to bring it to our practice as well. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. Y'all have a lot of really cool things going on. I loved hearing all about it. So I really appreciate y'all's time and getting to know y'all a little bit better. And hopefully we'll be able to send some injectors y'all's way for some training down the road.
Yeah, for sure. And I already followed you guys on listening to this podcast. I'm excited for that. And thanks so much for having us. We love doing this and we like sharing. So
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank y'all so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
thank you. Get back out there.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of SmarCast and our weekend in Arizona with our partners at AMP.